Hey guys, Jason20W here, back with another one. I had gotten a request that somebody wanted to see how my T-Max and E-Maxes are set up. So I figured what I would do is I would make you guys a quickie on how I have these set up. So here is my T-Max. Now, everybody's got to keep in mind that this is a 100% custom built truck, okay? So, go ahead and take the body off here. Hold on. Okay, so I had one guy ask me what chassis plate this is. Okay, well, this truck technically was built, I want to say over 20 years ago. Okay? And what I got told was that the chassis, he had two chassis plates made. Because back then you couldn't get the extended version chassis. It was just the short plate. Okay? Well, so the guy had two of these chassis made, and he based it off of the factory chassis plate. That's why when you look at it, you know, the servos and that whatnot, and the receiver box, all that stuff still goes in the same place. It's just the chassis is longer. You see what I'm saying? And yet, there's technically supposed to be a battery box here, but the battery box that should go there doesn't fit correctly because I put a bigger tank in. It's supposed to have the box here, smaller tank, you know, that's got the little swoop on it. But I wanted more capacity for this big block. And this is a GS21 big block. I had to do exhaust pipe on it, but the reason why I took it off is because one of the brackets broke, and you have to make custom brackets in order for it to work. Well, I have to get certain thickness stuff. You know, you can't just use like a piece of hanger or something like that or whatever because it's too thin. So I have to get just the right stuff that goes in here, and then I got to bend it, and then I'll be putting the dual exhaust back on. I just put the single exhaust pipe back on it for now. That was for last year. I haven't run this thing at all this year. I've been too busy with other stuff. But I will get in here so then that way you can see how this is done. Now, this transmission, yes, is the newer style transmission. And yes, I did have to modify down in here to get this to work. I just had to widen out the holes a little bit. And yes, these are a bunch of pressure plates on here to use as shims. But it's been like that for 2 years now, and it hasn't been a single issue. Yes, the truck is going to be geared a little bit high, but if you go back in my videos, you can see that it actually goes pretty good. Now, the one guy was also saying that running it, you know, the rear end was so low as I was running it. Well, I was trying different springs, and you know, I was messing with the suspension, you know, because I like my trucks to be a certain way. You know, I want it to be able to dip into the corners, but I also want it to stay up. You know what I mean? And at the time when I was recording that video, I was in the middle of trying different things, so that's why it was kind of sitting like that on the ass end. But it has been fixed since then, so when you push down on it, see, it comes right back up. And that's what I was working to get to. But I'll go ahead and turn this around here. It is a heavy truck, but like I said, it goes pretty damn good for what it is. So I'll get in there and see. It's got custom mounts. I still got to finish cleaning up that motor. I only did a quickie when I put it away for the winter. But yeah, so I'll get in there nice and slow and close so you can see how this is done. But yeah, so it's got aluminum bracing in there. That's all custom. So you can see that the plate, that it's obviously machined. So I can't remember the guy that I got it from. I can't remember what company that he said made those plates for him, but they're long gone. They've been out of business for a long time. So if you're maybe looking at getting something custom done, you're gonna have to find another place. But yeah, so if you're curious how I did the gas tank or the fuel tank, all this is it's just I snipped the posts off the old shock towers. The shock towers that had the round deals on it that always bent. Well, I cut those off and I turned them into fuel tank mounts. See, and then there's the other one. Trying not to move my phone too much and get people sick here. But yeah, so, and then of course, I restored these, put the classic T-Maxx rims on it with the classic T-Maxx tires. Just kind of pulls the vintage, the whole vintage look together. It's modern enough to where I can get modern parts from like the 3.3s and the 2.5s, but it's also custom enough to where you gotta do things like this here. This is from a Revo 3.3, that's why the spur gear is so small, but the motor only moves so much, so that's why I had to gear it the way that I did, which isn't entirely that big of a deal, but it is what it is. It works. And yes, it is roto start. I just put it on a drill and then use the glow igniter. This engine actually runs really good. The reason why I haven't had it out this year is because I need to find a rebuild kit for the high-speed needle, because it doesn't want to hold its setting anymore. So it's really annoying. You set it, you go out and run it for a couple of minutes, and then it loses its tune because it won't hold. So I'll get that figured out eventually. Now, on to my Maxx. This is also a 100% custom built truck. Obviously they don't make these anymore. So if you are wanting to build one of these, you're going to have to find one on Facebook Marketplace, or you're going to have to buy one on eBay. But everybody wants way too much for them now, because Traxxas doesn't make them anymore, and everybody thinks that they're worth big dollars. But as you can see, you know, this is 100% custom done. The chassis you can get really easy. You can go on eBay, you know, or whatever, and get these all day long. Same thing with the RPM parts. You know, you can still get all that relatively easy. You know, the brushless system. I had the older Castle Creation setup in here, and I took it out and put the newer style one in because the newer style one is more efficient. So, the motor, the ESC is still the Mama Monster first version, but the motor got swapped out because this is a more efficient motor. And trust me, it definitely is. The last time that I had this out and I ran full packs in it, I got almost 10 more minutes of playtime out of this thing with just swapping the motor. So, if you have the factory green motor, don't get me wrong, it's still a good motor, you know. But if you want it to be easier on your batteries, be more efficient, put the newer Castle motor in, the newer 2200 Castle motor. And it's got RPM, obviously, and then it's got aluminum up front there, and then RPM shock tower, and then back here it's got RPM bulkheads with an aluminum shock tower. And the reason why I did that is so that way I'm spreading apart, you know, the aluminum stuff and the RPM stuff. I don't want to have too much metal up front, you know, or too much RPM up front. I was trying to do like an even balance front to rear, so then that way, you know, it just, so then, you know, trying to combat weak points of the truck, because we all know that these trucks have their weakest points are down in here. Well, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I've seen tons and tons of videos of these trucks getting broke in those spots and, you know, beat the hell, and people bitching and whining and complaining about them, you know, that they break too easy. I've never broke one of these. You know, if you don't play with it like a fool, you don't have to worry about breaking it. So then I got aluminum back here and an aluminum bumper. I had an aluminum one up front, but like I said, you put too much aluminum on, you know, aluminum onto aluminum, something's going to break. Well, that's what happened. I ran into something, it was metal on metal, and it broke. So I put a stock one on there for now until I find another one of these. Then I will have an RPM onto the aluminum. And then, yes, I have one of those old school temperature monitors. I had been looking for years and years and years for another one of these. Do I need it? No. No, not really. Did I want it? Yes. Because I'm old school and I liked it. So I finally got another one. Underneath here, it's got the Traxxas digital high torque servos. Yes, they're not the greatest servos, but honestly, I don't mind them. And when I built this truck, I did have to do custom drive shafts because I didn't have the right drive shafts, because this whole truck has been custom built. So I had to do my own center shafts. And then it's got the True Track RPM in the rear, aluminum skid plates front and rear, and it's just got the factory links for now. I mean, you know, I've never broke them, so why replace them? And then, yeah, that's off of an old Nitro. I just left it on there to be funny. So, but yeah, I mean, that's my two custom builds. And no, they're not for sale. I will not sell either one of these trucks, nor will I sell this one here. This Maxx is damn near mint. It's almost brand new. I bought it that way, and I even have the original box for it too. So I paid what the guy wanted to get this because it's only been run, well, the guy says that it was only run 3 times, but when you look at it, you can tell that it's been hardly ran. So this is my shelf queen. That doesn't get run because you can't. You go online and try to find one that's almost brand new. Good luck. But anyways, so there's another video for you guys. Told you guys that I was going to get into making more videos, so I had a guy ask me a few questions on my 2 trucks, and then I had another guy asking me about the chassis on that one. So I thought that I would go ahead and make a video. Alrighty guys, well, please rate, subscribe, and comment, and we'll catch you guys in another one later.